everyone. So today it's a little bit different because we got to preview a Kickstarter. So lots of fun. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you'd like to see more.
Someday she's going to say that right. She's going to. I have faith.
Someday, who knows?
You're going to do it.
All right, so tell us about the game.
All right, so the name of the game is called the Tux Rebellion. It's going to be published by Maniple Games. It's designed by Matt Hanna, who's the one we got to talk to, and he helped us play through the game. Also developed by Brian Davis, Lawton Trindle, and Cole Tompkins. We didn't get to meet those guys. Art by Jonathan Abyss, Jewel Migliavaca. I apologize, I mispronounced that. And then Shou Zhang. And several different elements. Things that I think that we picked up on was that you get 4 unique factions. Each faction is a little different with like starting units and abilities. The goal, though, is by gaining favor. You can gain favor a couple of different ways: battling and building buildings, which is one of the stuff that we particularly liked. And then some of the key elements I picked up on. I thought it was cool that we got to recruit our own army. So I thought that was neat.
Well, I mean, let's go through our process.
Before we do any of that, we did not have a physical copy of the game.
So this was a little bit different. So we had to play this through Tabletop Simulator. Yep. So there is that caveat to it. But I think it was a good representation of the gameplay.
I think so.
So I don't think that was a big issue for me as far as being able to.
So we normally would start with quality of components. We can't go into quality of components because we haven't physically seen them. What we can tell you is what we got described to us.
Yeah, we did talk to Matt about.
When we talked with Matt, he assured us that his quality of his cards is he was going for Magic the Gathering quality of cards. So if you are familiar with Magic the Gathering, it might give you an idea of what his intent is for the cards. Yeah. And we have seen the art for the cards, and there's really nice art.
Yeah, that's some really nice art.
That's really more theme than quality.
Yeah. So, and then also with that, with the Kickstarter, there's going to be 2 versions in the game. So there'll be a deluxe version. So we'll be able to talk about those differences a little bit. So initially, the original game that we played did have a lot of housekeeping, and I think that kind of goes with quality of pieces here. But the upgraded version, there will be components to remove those housekeeping elements. So just keep that in mind. I think that was my biggest thing when we talk about quality of pieces. I'm not a big housekeeping. If I'm going to do housekeeping, I'm going to play an RPG.
So by housekeeping, she means we had forms, papers that we had to write our stuff on. So it did get a little... Potentially could be confusing by which units, how many units, things like that, because it's all written down on paper.
Yeah, and so with that being said, but with the deluxe version, that should remove all of that housekeeping requirements and use either tokens, cards, or something like that to facilitate those housekeeping things. So for me, we'll be buying the deluxe version. So, but that's not really a surprise. So... Moving on to...
Why did you look at me when you said that?
Because who else would we look at?
Because you're going to have the nicest components.
Deluxe version.
So moving on to theme. So we did talk about how what art we did see was absolutely fantastic. Not all the art was done when we got to play it, but what we did see was pretty amazing. The theme... I think was very interesting in the fact that it was a rebellion. So you're trying to defend against the rebellion and trying to gain favor, obviously, with the king. And I think that played really well.
I think so.
You are a faction, but you still have to win together, but you squabble, right?
Right.
Like,
so there's some intrigue in some aspects, which we'll talk about in gameplay. But there's definitely a little bit of intrigue in whether you choose to help your fellow players or not, or how much you help them versus how much you
so
it was interesting.
The one thing that I'm super excited about, and I think this goes into theme, is that when you go to defend against the rebellion, you negotiate with your other people, other houses, if you don't have enough resources to defend against the rebellion yourself. And that negotiation can be a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. So we did one round of battle, and it was pretty much against me. But I would not have been able to survive without Miranda's help because she produced probably 60% of the units out on it.
70. You had 3, I had 7.
60-ish, 60%. But either way, I would have certainly not been able to do it on my own. So I had to offer favor, I had to offer resources to make that offer more tempting so she would accept.
Yeah, and and the other piece of it, that is you get to choose which house you're getting help from, or all the houses, and what you're willing to negotiate. So you kind of like, okay, that person's winning, I need your help, right? Like, so
Right.
that will, I think that's going to really drive theme throughout the game. So that piece, I honestly think, will be my favorite piece
it
of the game.
might be like a Game of Thrones type of vibe.
I know.
I'm hoping so.
I'm really
where
hoping.
there might be a backstabbing element to it, like you'll help out.
Well,
real
the one thing
but
is,
then, I'd take it back.
well, the thing is once you commit to
Right.
it,
But I mean later
because
rounds.
nobles, a noble's
Once
word.
Once
you commit, a noble's handshake or a
right,
noble's
because
word is
Yeah.
honor. Yeah, you've got to maintain your honor.
Which I did like that. Once you commit, you have to do it.
Yes, so I appreciate that. So the
Mhm.
negotiations there, but I do think it's interesting. You could almost play on the fact that, yes, I'll help you. Oh, but I'm only going to help you with one.
Right.
So, like, I think that will be an interesting play on. You've got to be like, how much are you going to help me? Like, how many units are you going to send my way? What units are you going to send my way?
That's almost like a cosmic encounter. type
Almost,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that if we would have went to the next round where it would have either focused on you or the Matt's player, I wouldn't have been able to help because I was almost decimated. I had like maybe 2 or 3 units after the battle was over.
Well, you only had 3 to begin with.
Right, but I had more than that.
No, you had 3.
No,
you
I had 2
bought-
archers, I had a cavalry, and I had 2 infantry.
Maybe. Oh, I thought you didn't have that many. But yeah, you had 3 at the end, though.
Yeah,
I know, but I do think this is going to be very, very interesting.
I think so.
So, theme-wise, there's a lot of potential with theme.
And I think it'll only get better because we only saw some of the art. We only saw part of the battling because when you get to later rounds, it gets even more intense. I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that will stop the theme is the quality of components.
Yeah.
So as long as they do what they thought they were going to do.
Yeah, as long as that option is available
I
to
think-
some people, I think it'll help out.
Yes,
a lot.
I think it
Some
will push
people
through.
might like playing Excel, the war game, because that's what it feels like with these papers, is spreadsheets.
Right. And you know what, though? I will say there was mitigation. So there was some things that you could do at home that could self-rely. So what we ended up doing is we put in, instead of keeping the health on paper, we got one of our D20s and put it on there.
Yeah,
right?
Tabletop Simulator allows you to use dice, and that did help.
Yeah, so we added that. So I think there's things that you can do not buying the deluxe version that can solve some of those issues. Just being aware that you might have to dig through your gaming drawer. Right, which we all know how many dice we each have, right?
Yep.
Yeah, another thing that Matt really talked about as far as quality is the storage mechanism for the cards.
Yes.
I think his intent is to make it as easy to get to deploy to the table as possible with his storage mechanism. Now, what we saw was basically a cardboard crafted design. We haven't seen the final, design.
It kind of reminded me of Seventh Continent, the way that he designed it, where you had different sections in the box for your units, for the other units, things that you'd be able to go exactly where you need to go, pull it out, and then you know where it goes back at the end of the game. And so if it is like that, which the impression I got, I think it would work out well.
Yeah. So let's move on to
Rulebook. Well, the rulebook was rough.
yes.
Well, we've seen only a draft. It's
To be honest, it's not a final draft by any stretch of the means.
Yes.
But we did have a hard time going through it.
If he hadn't been there to explain it,
I don't know if we'd have been able to as easily play the game.
Again, it's an early draft, and I'm sure he's going to take feedback from
Absolutely.
when people reviewing it like us that gave him feedback on it, because we ran into several things that were very confusing when we were looking.
Yeah, but I will say the cheat sheet that he had pre-done
on Tabletop Simulator worked really well.
Was fine, was good. There was like 2 critiques I had. Hopefully they'll fix that, but other than that, that cheat sheet will be the way to win. So I think
it was really nice having that available.
Yeah.
And we all had one. So.
Yeah, and I think the cheat sheet was very clear. So for me, because I don't read rules, I just like to have a cheat sheet in front of me and get me through.
It's almost become one of our things that if it doesn't see a cheat sheet, we're going to count a little bit less on the rules.
Well, for me, I am because that's the way I run. I don't.
I thought you were going to say it was kind of a thing that she doesn't do the rules or pay attention to the rules, which is always approved.
So then let's talk about gameplay. So gameplay. guys, I'm typically not
She's not a fighty person.
I'm not a fighty person, but I will say this was all right.
Mm-hmm.
I was okay with this. You're not attacking other players. You're going against a rebellion, but you still have tension with your other players with that negotiation process, and the attacking wasn't so bad.
So how upset do you think it would be if the roles were reversed and I chose not to help you? Do you think that would have make or break this type of game for you?
No, I'm strong enough
if
to
someone
totally...
would not have helped you, that you would have maybe not liked
well,
it
but
as
here's
much?
the thing, though. If I get destroyed, then they have a worse time off. Like, I think...
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah, so, I mean, my honest thing is I would never let myself be that weak. But,
Well...
no, I think it would be fine. I think it's part of the game. I do think that may get a little frustrating. My biggest thing is totally tag teaming against somebody constantly. That would get old. So I would say play it in the essence of Game of Thrones. Always switch up your alliances, right?
Exactly.
And I think that will be fine. I do think my thing is it is a co-op in the sense that you guys are attacking. So it very much feels like an RPG with me. Because it's like, oh yeah, we're battling the big baddie, but everyone has their own thing that they're doing. So for me, I was actually really okay. So, and the battling system was pretty straightforward.
It was.
And I was okay with it. I mean, I was fine with the attacking ability. I actually, what I would end up focusing on is building my township, right? So you've got building cards that you can build and upgrade throughout the game that gives you more production resources. So
you got a level 1 keep and you got the level 1 keep buildings. And so once you get to a certain point, then you upgrade to level 2 keep.
And then
then you get to be able to level up those other buildings to level 2 or even new buildings. We have new buildings we didn't even see yet.
Yeah, so we didn't see
the level 2 stuff.
Level 2 or level 3 stuff. But all of that stuff is integrated into play. So I like that ability that you do have a base that you can advance to get better resources.
And I got the impression if you don't, you're going to lose this game.
Yeah.
You have to upgrade.
Yeah, but, in that same tone, if you upgrade your buildings, then you don't have resources for units. So it's this balancing act.
Huge balancing act.
It's a huge balancing act, and I think it's going to be very unique. And there's enough variety that even those players that aren't maybe big attacky people, that they could actually get behind this game, which is where I was. I was pleasantly surprised, and I was like, oh, this game, okay, this is all right. I like this.
There's some Yuri elements to it, which is one of the reasons why I think I liked it as much as I did.
Yeah.
If it was just straight combat, I think it'd be a different opinion. I still might have liked it, I don't know. But
yeah. I will say that something unique that I also enjoyed was the formations.
Yeah, I really like that part.
So not only do you pick the units that you're sending into battle, but the formation matters. And not only where the formation matters, but location matters on what you can attack, when you can attack it, and what part of their formation you can attack.
So you have your screen, which is the front, then you have the rear, then you got your flanking positions.
Mm-hmm.
And you can put any unit in any one of those spots. But the main rule is you have to have more people on the screen than you do in the rear.
As well as more on the flank. You got
right. So
screen has to be your biggest portion of your army.
One of the cool things we talked about with Matt was the formation of that, how you attack. So one of the expansion ideas he had was being able to basically have a supplement of different formations that you could do when you attack, which sounds awesome to me.
Yeah.
I really like that idea.
That's the other thing is playing this game, I was like, there are so many cool things that you can add to this game. You can add new buildings for the expansions. You can add, like you said, the formations. There's so much promise and potential.
A lot of opportunity.
A lot of opportunity with this game that really excites me, and I can't wait to see this all play out. So,
I really can't wait to see, even if it's still rough, but a tabletop version. Be able to play it in hand, I think would be really cool.
Yeah. The only thing is time. So he did say that this game...
It's a long game.
It's a Twilight Imperium was the reference that he gave for it.
So we did one round, and it was a little over 2 hours.
Yeah. So I would hope...
It was a learning game.
Yeah, I was saying, it was a learning game, and you're having to learn not only
the battles,
without the physical copy.
But the battles are really long.
They did take a while.
They're not complicated, but they're lengthy. So my concern is I would hope that there may be a short variation, like, hey, if you want to do a short game.
I think that'd be okay, but at the same time, I'm thinking that if you're going to play this game, you're going in knowing, like if you were to play Twilight Imperium, that
Okay.
you know that this is going to be a long game, so you can prepare for that. This is a Saturday game. This is not a Tuesday night board game night game.
Yeah. So, all right. Any other comments?
Well, just one of the other things I really liked was when kind of adds the intrigue to the theme is the internal and external events.
Oh yeah,
So,
we forgot about that.
Yeah,
piece.
the internal events, everyone has their own internal and external event decks. And I think they're the same for everybody. But either way, you draw your internal card first, and it might give you resources, it might help you with attack or defense. And then there's an external event, and that usually targets either the opponent or your other players. And that could either hurt them or help them. And so that's where that intrigue is not only where I'm asking for help, do I play something that could help them? Or do I play something that's going to hurt them? And so I think that was a really neat element of the game.
Yeah, there was a lot of cool and interesting and different things in this game that I really did appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
I do think we should hold off the scores though. I can't wait. Like that's one thing. If normally we give scores, I'm holding up. I want the physical in front of me, and I want to be able to play a full game before.
I won't give it. I agree with the score, but I will say I was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I thought it would be more of a grind fest than it was. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed that. So I'm really looking forward to trying it again.
Yeah.
Later on down the road when he's got more development.
Yeah, and what I will say is, Matt was very responsive to suggestions.
Really
I like that. I think that's a sign of success for the future for this campaign. So. Given all of what we've seen so far, I'm eager to get, because I didn't get to try playing it on tabletop or simulator.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to play it, but I had a lot of conversations with Matt about this, and I'm eager to see what the final product is.
And I think the only other thing I want to mention is that Matt wasn't really for certain when the Kickstarter will come out, but it's going to try and shoot for later this year. But the goal was to have the game finished in people's hands by mid to late of 2022.
Okay. So. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We had a really great time today being able to share this game with you, and we hope to...
Yeah, thanks, Matt and Maniple Games, for giving us the opportunity to play this game.
Yeah, super excited about it. Can't wait to see it in the Kickstarter. So we'll see you guys there.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.